So we've gotten the vitals on our patient here, so we want to move on and add some more information for the provider. So what we'll do is we'll go down to history. Okay, and history is where we're going to add that information that shows up on our face sheet, our SpongeBob up here. So when we look here, we want to add a couple key components we want you guys to be familiar with. One is, how do we add allergies? So what we do is we start on our master list here and click on allergies. Now you notice it shows us that the allergies have been reviewed and no changes, but let's say we wanted to add an allergy there. What we can do is we can go a couple ways. One is we can search, which lets us search everything, but we went ahead and put some shortcuts in here for you, and that's where we talk about short list. So we click on short list, and you notice that there's broken down by medications, foods, contactants as far as poison ivy and so forth, or other environmental allergens. Also very important is we want to be asking about latex allergies, so our latex is right up top here for you. But let's say this patient has an allergy, and we're going to say that they have an allergy to erythromycins. So we come down, we find erythromycin, and we click on that. As you notice, it pops up another window to let us put more details about this. It's one thing to say it allergies, but sometimes, as we know, patients don't always tell us exactly what they mean by allergies, so we need to ask. So, for example, this patient will say that the patient had a problem where they developed difficulty breathing. So we can click this once and click include, or if we simply click it twice, it'll add it in, and that trait's added to the patient. Say we want to add some more information. What we can do is we can say this happened in Vegas. Probably didn't stay there, but it happened in Vegas. So we click OK, and now you notice here down at the bottom we now have the allergy, erythromycins, the difficulty breathing, and then our note here. So that's how we would add an allergy. Now we want to also be able to do social history. So we click on social, and this patient's already got some information here as far as alcohol use, tobacco, but say we want to change that drug use. Right now it says weekly. So we want to take a look and again go to your short list, and we want to talk about drugs. So we find drug, alcohol, tobacco, and caffeine, drop that down, and we say that the patient has drug use, but we want to change that a little bit. So we double click that, and again we can add those comments, and we want to say instead of weekly, they've improved, they're only using it monthly. So we then click OK to add that detail. So now you notice that's updated to where the drug use now uses monthly. If we wanted to change smoking, again we just double click and we can add those details in. We can say the patient smokes cigars, and we may want to add in there they smoke 5 a day. So that's how you populate that list, by adding those. And then a very important part we need you guys to help us with is medications. Now, one of the nice features about this program is a lot of patients we will be able to import their medication history from the ERX that we've been using over the last year and a half. So this will be pre-populated for a lot of patients, but you always need to know how to add these. So when we look at this here, we can take a look at short list. And this we've set up to where your over-the-counter, some of your herbals and vitamins are here, and you can just drop those down to access them. But for the RX medications, we really want you to search for those. Okay, so that's where we come back to search. And when you look at the search on all the screens, you're going to see that it asks you for a data source. In this case, it's already defaulted to the Medispan, but if we were searching others, we could drop down and there would be different choices there. So let's say this patient is taking Norvasc, one of our blood pressure medicines. So we start clicking on, and then we can click search, and you see it pops up several choices, and we'll say the patient is taking Norvasc 5 milligram. Again, the program's wanting more information here, so you say okay, they're taking 5. Well, are you taking 1 tablet a day? Taking 1 tablet a day. And how often are you taking it? Once a day. So we follow down, we see daily. And then we can say, okay, is this something you're taking? We can change this at any time. If it's a thing that's been inactivated or discontinued, we can do that. Or if it was an error, or somebody might have put a wrong medicine in, we can note that. and that can be changed in the future. And then reason just gives us why it may have been continued or discontinued, I should say, and it may be caused, it may be an allergic reaction. Start date, if we know the start date, we can add it. If it's a new medicine that we're just starting, we can simply click on, pull our calendar up, and click OK. So that's a way we can add some more information to that. The other thing is if the patient says they prefer this med gets 90-day mail order. That will give you a heads up next time when that patient comes in for it. And you notice again, it drops down here, and that has the information about the medicine. Say we wanted to add another medication. Simply clear your box out here, and say the patient's taking Viagra, one of our favorites. And with the search, you don't even have to type the name completely out. It's basically going to pull everything that starts with at least 3 letters. Okay, so we're going to say the patient's taking Viagra, and let's say he's taking 50 milligram tablet. Again, he's taking 1 tablet, and frequency, taking it daily, kind of as needed. And then again, we can say active or discontinued. We can say a start date here, and we can put in that he started it in 2009. In this program, we'll let you put in years, months, or specific to days, and then it calculates the time previous. And then again, you can add notes. Another thing you'll see in these pop-up windows is you see the little keyboard icon. This is something, if you want to use the pen interface with this, you can always tap on this to get a small keyboard to go ahead and enter text with. So this is something we'll let you guys play around, see what you feel like you use better. So we add that, and you can see we've quickly built our history in here. And then say the patient says, no, I'm not taking Viagra. Just double click that and you can say, okay, no problem. We'll take that out. So we say that's an error, and then we click OK, and now you can see it's crossed out, so it's noted, but it's shown that it was an erroneous error in the chart. So that's how we would put in as far as a medication, social history, and medications and allergies. So now that we've got this patient ready to see the provider, what we want to do is come up to our 3 amigos and their evil brother, and we want to send the chart to the provider. So we pull that, and with this we're going to be sending it to ourselves, which we're logged in as manager, but otherwise you would select from the provider names, which are already here. And then you want to kind of tell the provider where they're at. Are they in exam room 1, 2, 3? And so you can see it's already pulled the patient name in here, and this is where you can give some information to the provider. And this is a note that will show up to the provider but will not be filed in the chart. So you may want to tell the provider important information like patient has gun and is waiting, just to give your provider a slight heads up. The other thing you like to do is when the patient's here and waiting, click this as a high priority. This will flag this note as a higher message so that the provider sees that it's something that is urgent. And then we go ahead and send this. And what we'll see here is if we look on our desktop here, we look as far as received charts in the provider queue here. And when we click that, you now notice that patient chart is here and ready for the provider to start. So this is how the provider would start seeing the patient.